Hello, everyone. Very good evening to all of you.
Good
I, Rajat
evening.
Agrawal, on behalf of the Vadhvani Foundation, welcome you all for this masterclass, which is based on the topic of solution and MVP. And we have our speaker for us today, Mr. Harshit Agrawal. Um, and we are very grateful that Harshit, you could take some time out today for us on a very short notice as well. What I'm seeing is I think there are people still joining in. So if it's okay, Harshit, we can wait for 2 more minutes and then we'll
No
start.
problem. It's great to have you here. Sorry, I didn't get it. We never got to connect before.
Sorry, my name is Rajat Agrawal. Uh,
Oh yes, hi Rajat.
so we'll wait
I
for
talked to
two
Amit sir
minutes.
yesterday, so sure, sure, no problem. By that time, if you could just tell me about the people we have, the audience we have here, everyone in the conversation. So
Right. So uh, there are two programs that we run
yeah,
for entrepreneurship. One is Activate and one is Ignite.
hmm
Uh, the audiences from both programs are here. 10% of the audience would be from the Activate program, and majority of them would be from the Ignite program.
right,
So Activate is primarily focused on high school students and first year college students
okay,
to expose them towards entrepreneurship
right,
and help them build on if they have some ideas. Ignite is more for a slightly more mature audience, senior college students, second year onwards, and
okay.
then it goes on to postgraduate and even professionals who have graduated long back but now are
Mhm.
interested to
Great,
build their
great.
ventures, right? So overall, if you see that age group will range from anything from 16, 17 years of a high school student to 40, 35, 40 years also of a mature professional who is now getting into entrepreneurship. We also have people from multiple geographies. So there are participants from India, Philippines, and South Africa, Kenya,
Oh nice.
all those geographies as well. Some certain countries from Africa are also represented. Um so these guys, yeah, they are. Some of them are building on their ideas. Some of them have
Mhm.
already started work on building their MVPs and prototypes. Some of them have done some sort of market research to validate their problems. Uh,
So
so
Rajat, I
that
think like more people are joining in. By then, if everyone's comfortable, we can have a small interactive session. If someone could tell you about the idea they're working on, or if they would work a dream project they would really want to work on in the future.
absolutely, I mean, that would be
Nice to
wonderful.
have anyone from the participants here. You guys can just unmute yourself and speak up. What you guys are doing? What is that something which you really want to build? It'll be great. By the time everyone else comes in, we can have a small talk about a few ideas.
Yeah, that will be great. Anybody
Uh,
who would like to discuss their ideas, please go forward.
Thank you, Rajat. I'll go forward.
Sure.
One of the ideas that I have here that I would like to see me take forward with my team is bringing the Uber kind model to the informal sector. You know, the street hawkers and vendors,
Right.
where
Yes.
you can still buy from them, but at home, still using your mobile phone and being able to order, and then educate a lot of the hawkers to be part of this particular platform, and then have a way of reviewing and validating and to help them with various other issues to get on board the technology space so that they don't just accept one form of payment, which is currently cash on
Mhm.
hand, and then as a result, they don't become bankable and they don't attract investors. So get them on board and then let there be that collaboration between not just the hawker, but also the end consumer of their product.
So when you think of this solution, are you thinking only of a tech solution, or is it something other than that as well?
The tech solution is the eventuality of it because that's where we are all going. We can see
Okay.
that there's more adoption of tech,
Mhm.
but primarily it's not going to start at the tech space. It's going to start on the manual processes of cleaning up, collaborating, and then getting them on board, and then getting that group of early adopters that would start pioneering that you don't have to be a nasty looking hustler, a hawker or street hustler, but you can also be professional and still grow your one sport into various other sports and still employ people and still do your normal HR stuff and still train your staff and still give them incentives and leaves and all that, even though you're selling your fruit, vegetables, or clothes on the street.
So when you look at, if you start working on this idea, maybe in a year or maybe in 6 months or two months, which is that first geography you want to try out this idea at? Like, which is that first city or place? I'm guessing where you're from, you might want to try out there.
Definitely. The geography I wanted to started is East London in the Eastern Cape. This is the place that has got the highest unemployment. And then it is a culture for people to self-employ. Almost anybody gets up, takes anything. They either go and sell on the streets, they sell on Facebook. Guys are just trying to do something for themselves. And there's that particular gap of the formalizing, or the someone that can come in and mentor, formalize them, support them, and then provide them with various other needs that they cannot get at this level because they've been overlooked.
Great, great. Someone else, tech, app-based or not app-based, someone wants to come and speak up about their idea.
Anybody else wants to talk about what you are working on?
And Rajat, if you could also tell me how long would we be waiting so that I can, maybe you could have a sense of idea of how.
So we can now start. I think it's 6:08 already.
Okay.
Let me just briefly
No
introduce.
problem. It's okay. Like, I have ample amount of time. I have done everything I needed to do for the day. I'm looking to
Okay.
have a good long session as long as the audience is here. That's not a problem.
Okay, wonderful. So that's great. If you don't have any other time constraints after this
No,
one,
no
although
problem. No problem. So we could, even if you want, we could wait for 5 minutes. I would actually want to talk about something else apart from NBP and solutioning before we
Right.
start on that topic. So
Okay.
everyone here, I would, if you're not comfortable speaking up, if you could type in the chat box before an MVP or we start even working on a solution. I want to talk about how a lot of people have these crazy ideas, which they consider as crazy, CRAZY. That this is an idea which I think is too crazy to be true. So if everyone, I think we have around 30 people around in this Zoom call. If you could write down a crazy idea which you think is too crazy to be true for a startup or for a new implementation, and the major factor is that idea should be crazy, something which sounds like too delirious and too over the top.
So
Anything,
guys,
like some of the
let
very crazy idea.
your imaginations run wild
Yeah.
and come up with any crazy ideas that you might have thought of in the past or you might think right away. Meanwhile, as you're doing that, let me quickly introduce Harshit because I haven't done that yet. So Harshit is an entrepreneur himself. He is the founder and CEO of the company called SmileBots, and Harshit basically has a very keen interest in the areas of design thinking, MVP, minimalism. He also is a firm believer in the concept of lean startups. Hence, he's always inclined towards making an MVP first, so that the product can be developed further based on multiple iterations using positive feedback from the customers. So I'm sure Harshit is the perfect fit for this session, which is focused on discussing about building a solution or an MVP. And I hope all of you are able to make good use of his time here. So yes, Harshit was asking about, and Harshit, maybe you can talk a little bit about your venture, that is SmileBots. You've
Sure.
been working on it for quite some time now. So
Hi. So Pankaj has asked me what is the startup's name. It's called SmileBots, SMILEBOTS. So I've been working. I started SmileBots 4 years back, and I wanted to do something in education space. Then we set up a tech team. Then actually from education we shifted purely to technology because we got a lot of inquiries, a lot of startups who wanted to build their first app, who wanted to build their platform, and They did not really know how to use an MVP, how to build an MVP, how to iterate. And so we helped them there. We started helping them there. Then we got really good traction. So now we have a team of 25 developers, designers, managers, everyone. And that's what we do full time. We build products, we build apps for other startups, and we become their tech team. Right. So, Rajat, thanks a lot for that wonderful introduction. I would now like to really change my focus to the participants we have here. Guys, definitely come on, come up with a crazy idea. Anything.
Crazy ideas, guys. Elon Musk came up with a crazy idea that he wanted to colonize Mars, and now he's actually on to it. So
That's
I'm sure you can definitely think of some really crazy ideas, or you might already have done in the past.
I've got one. I've got
Yeah,
one,
Go on.
Raja. I've got one
Please.
here.
Please.
Relationships and marriages usually fail or they end in divorce, and the primary reason is usually compatibility of partners. Perhaps we need something in tech that will be able to make sure that people are actually compatible before they even get to dating or even marriage stage. And there'll be certain pointers in that particular app or tech setup that will say, Nati, you've got this, that, the lady that you're about to go out with, and then taking this data from all these data sources that we create through Google preferences, profiles, and whatnot, and then mingle that and then say, you'll be compatible with this particular person, you'll be able suitable partners for life. I think that will reduce divorce rates and the breaking family units and have people that have lifelong love partners. That would be something that I think it's something that I think is there, but we are not doing anything about in terms of an opportunity in the market. Compatibility for people not to divorce or break, you know. A lot of anger is because of people are not in love. They are angry.
so what our dear friend has defined here is, yeah, I think I was just coming to that what Shishti has also typed here. There was a movie on Netflix where there is this lady who does exactly this. She tries to find the perfect partner, and there have been a lot of rom-coms. If you guys have heard of How I Met Your Mother, there's an episode where our main protagonist goes to a service which claims that she will find the best partner for you using an algorithm. So now when Nati, you're saying that you come up with an idea which this sounds very crazy, because you need to have so many data points, you need to collect so many data points about those particular people to match them and to predict of that. Yes, if I go ahead and marry Rajat, definitely I'll have a very good future. I'll have a good relationship with him, right? That's a very good, nice, crazy idea. Now imagine if you could build something like that. If you could really build something like that today, using data science, using AI, using ML, we get recommendations on Facebook, on Instagram, on Amazon, on our Google result of what we should watch next. What is that content we should watch next so that we spend more time in it. So I don't think that what you are suggesting is too far in the future. I'm sure if you do a 2-minute research, you will definitely find someone who's already working on this. Oh, thanks for switching on your video. It's really nice to see you in person.
Thanks.
Right. So my point is, the idea which you think is too crazy, I treat it as no. I don't think that's crazy enough. I could actually get hold of 5 coders, and in 3 months I could build a rudimentary POC. I could start building a prototype which starts taking data from the social feed. Why? Because I have a lot of data about people's personal life, career life on Facebook and Instagram now. Facebook gives API when I could access that data. I could start training my models and then start suggesting people. What I would say is, sir, your idea is not that crazy enough. Shoot higher. Come up with crazier ideas. I'll tell you the point of this exercise later.
So Inderjeet is saying in the chat that his team is working to develop an app or website for connecting every tailor shop in Mumbai city to deliver stitched clothes,
Nice.
and this is somewhat crazy.
So, Mr. Inderjeet, I see that you want to connect every tailor shop in Mumbai to deliver stitched clothes. Have you heard of Ola? You've heard of Ola. Why I mention Ola is I met the founder of Ola 2 years back at a startup conclave in Bangalore. You know what his vision statement said? His vision statement said that I want to make it easy for any person looking for a taxi in Mumbai to be able to find. It should be very easy for them in Mumbai. His vision statement. I'm sure if you guys are learning entrepreneurship, you are taught that vision statement should be very grand. It should be very big. Now that same Ola founder is also running autos in London. When you say that you want to connect every tailor shop so that they can directly deliver stitched clothes, that idea is so definitely very possible. I would say that it's not crazy. You could start doing it. Zomato's doing that for restaurants. Ola's doing it for taxi drivers. Dunzo is doing for anything you can imagine. Swiggy's lost Swiggy Genie. Sir, your idea is not even that crazy. Go crazier.
Rajat, I've got another one. I think it would help. The predictive ability of an app to see if you're going to get ill, and then it starts recommending precautionary measures. Something that is either in your house or on your clothes, something that actually watches your health as you go. And it starts saying you're gaining weight. Today you've gained so much, and you ate 1, 2, 3. You shouldn't have eaten that. Or suddenly within the house, when you walk in, it starts to tell you, it starts to read that you're not feeling well because of 1, 2, 3, and in so long into the future, you will have contracted this disease. So you need to start taking 1, 2, 3 precautionary measures to prevent that from happening.
That's called preventive diagnosis, which a lot of healthcare startups are working on, and something called as Apple Watch has made it possible in like recently. Now, if you have sinus circadian rhythm, it gives you a notification. It gives you a notification that you should get tested for this. You might have this.
Okay.
The point of this 5-minute exercise is when, and I do this with a lot of school students, Rajat, Nathi, Indrajit, Srishti, everyone who's been talking, who's been interactive here. I do this with a lot of school students, and they come up with ideas which they think is crazy, and it actually sounds crazy. For example, someone came up with an idea that my mom keeps on telling me that you are on the phone all the time. So whenever she says that, her own phone should get locked out. She had this idea. Whenever my mom says that you are using the phone too much, her own phone should get locked out. She should get locked out over WhatsApp. I'm saying, ma'am, you would actually build this in maybe in 2 to 3 months. Why say this? Before we start the journey of building a product, when we start the journey of building a startup, we kind of have this immense hill in front of us, a mental hill in front of us. Indrajit, what is stopping you from building that product? Why do you think it is crazy? It's definitely possible. You know that it's possible. That's why you started working on it. If ever you're thinking that your idea is too crazy to be true, I can assure you that it's not crazy enough. Like Rajat said in the beginning, that Elon Musk, he wants to colonize Mars. English colonized half of the fucking world, 200 years back. Now he wants to colonize Mars. It's just an extension. They started mastering the sea at that time. Now we're starting to master the space. All right. So, okay, we have one more from Radhika Agrawal. An app that generates hologram of objects and people so that you can have next to real life experience by talking to the people not near you. All right. I think she's watching a lot of Avengers, a lot of sci-fi movies. So, okay, I'll tell you one last story. OnePlus 6 launched a version of Star Wars 2 years back when they launched, I think, 8T. And everyone's heard of Jack Ma, right? The founder of Alibaba. After this session, go ahead and YouTube it. Jack Ma sent a gift to all his employees when Alibaba, I think, crossed some major milestone. He sent a whiskey bottle, and if you insert your smartphone there, Jack Ma's image gets projected like a hologram on that whiskey bottle and starts talking to you. When OnePlus 8T launched its special limited edition Star Wars packaging, there was a very small glass cutout provided. You place it on top of the phone, and the founder of OnePlus would talk. There was a 3, 2, 1 animation going on, and then that person will talk to you as if it's a hologram. There's also a small device which comes where you can place your iPad, a 2D device, a 2D display, and it converts that image into hologram. So, ma'am, what do you say that if you think that your hologram idea is crazy? Definitely not. It's not crazy enough. In 2 years, I can definitely see that happening.
That's so good to know.
Must be missing someone. All right. So, Rajat, if we have enough people, we can start off with the topic of.
Please, yes, please, Harshit, let's go ahead.
All right, guys, everyone, welcome. I am Harshit Agrawal from SmileWatch. All right, I will take this last. This is what Mr. Archimedes has posted. How about a funeral event organizer looking at the situation? Yes. Also, there are some apps in India inside COVID apps itself, which are helping you organize, and because it's become a very scarcity now, they are helping you arrange for things for funeral events. If you think that's crazy enough, it's generally not crazy. If you think it is possible, the world is ready, and the world will see it coming possible if you just start working on it. And how do you start working on it is going to be my next 20 minutes. All right. As I know that you all are doing an entrepreneurship course, Activate and Ignite, and you guys all of you already know what an MVP is, right? So on your laptops, you see a button of reactions. Zoom has put in a very new feature of reactions, which the feature was not there before. Press on reaction, and whenever there are like 6 reactions available, press one of them whenever I ask a question. It'll help increase the interaction like this. So I understand that all of you already know about MVP. It starts for minimum viable product. I will take 2 minutes of your time and elaborate it on more. I have a small presentation prepared. Rajat, if you can help me out, is my screen visible?
Yes, it is visible, Harshit.
All right. So I'm here to talk something about MVP and prototyping. An MVP is a minimum viable product. The first, and as you can see on the screen, there's a candle, then there's a lantern, and then there's a bulb. So the purpose which all these three solve is the same, providing light. That's the main thing which all these three do. But someone started with a candle, it then got bumped up to a lantern, then came in the bulb. It has to be a most rudimentary bare-bone foundation of the solution possible, right? The most rudimentary solution which is possible, and believe me, it takes a lot of effort to break down a big product, a big idea to a small MVP. It should be sufficient enough for your early adopters. Early adopters should get light out of it. Also, it should be something tangible, or by tangible, I don't mean that it should have a physical presence, but something your users, final users, can interact with. All right. I will take on few examples. As you can all see, this is the new Facebook home screen, which Facebook launched a few months back. Can everyone recognize that now? Okay, this is actually the Facebook screen which Facebook launched a while back. Do you guys remember how did Facebook used to look when it started? I think not even the most the worst funded startup would even look like this now. The website of the worst funded startup, even those will not look like this. But this is how Facebook started, $1 billion corporation. This is what their MVP was. Do you all recognize this website? Airbnb. Right? If you go on and look at how Airbnb started, this is how Airbnb's website looked. And it's a very funny thing how Airbnb started. I'll come to that later on. Airbnb did not have a single homeowner who had put up their own listing on the website. Can you see San Francisco, USA, where the startup is based out of? It's showing that it only has 8 listings. 8. I'm sure all of you, all of the 36 participants here, you have more than 8 friends in your network. Okay. This is the first iPhone which came out in 2007. Now, what do you guys think? Was it an MVP? Will you call the first iPhone, which was also used to sell for way higher than what someone would normally pay for a smartphone? Was this the first iPhone and MVP?
Yeah,
I think so, Harshit. Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
So whenever I take this example, I get a lot of this thing. I'm surprised I'm not getting that here, but a lot of people say no. They spent dollars. They spent millions of dollars on developing this. They had a very successful product called the iPod with that scrolling wheel, with that circular wheel. One thing which a lot of people don't know about the iPhone is the first iPhone did not have the feature of copy and paste. You see, there's a feature of they have an app called Notes. They have an app called SMS, but they did not have. They even have an email. But the first iPhone did not have the feature of copy and paste. Whenever you are building an MVP, whenever you decide that you have to build an MVP, the first thing which you have to accept in your product building journey is that you will have to make compromises. You have to make compromises. As an entrepreneur, you always dream of that last product. You dream that when I launch my product, when I launch my app, it will be amazing. It will blow the users out of proportions, right? But that's not how things happen. That's not how things always take place. And that's not how a lean startup works. In a lean startup, when you are approaching to building a solution, when you are making a solution from the point of MVP, when you take that approach, a minimum viable product, you build the bare bones first. You build the bare bones first. You build what is most important in the product first. You trim it down and then you make it live for your first early adopters. The main idea is to build in loops, which is called iteration, which I'm sure all of you have learned in your course. Something called as iteration. Iteration is something you repeat. You keep on repeating one after the other. After you deploy an MVP, you build your first iteration, where after getting feedback from the MVP, you build again. You add more features. For example, Zoom, which we are using right now. When it launched, it did not have a lot of features which you take for granted. Last year itself, it did not have a lot of security features we take for granted right now. It did not have reactions. Facebook only had a like button when it started off. Now it has six type of reactions. Zoom did not have a function of muting all. Zoom did not have a function of share screen when it started off. Right? So all the successful products you see out there have gone through an MVP and an iterative process. If someone from the participants can answer, have you guys learned about what an MVE is? Apart from an MVP, there's something called as MVE as well.
For example, the Uber space, when you experience the using of the transport that you call to your own door, which is unusual, that experience of saying, wow, it works, or Uber Eats, when you order food and then it comes straight to your door, that experience, yes.
So, very right, MVE actually kind of is a bigger idea than MVP, because I don't know if all of you know about Zomato, because I guess we have people, participants from other countries as well. Zomato is a company which allows you to order food from local restaurants, right? So now, no one here can imagine a Zomato without an app. But if I, Harshit Agrawal, had only a limited amount of money to try out if a Zomato will work or not, I would not start developing an app. That is not something I would invest my money in. What I will start with is I will only start with a phone number. Maybe this is just an example. And I would float around that phone number that if you want to order from anywhere in my city, in Mumbai, India, call on this number. I will put out ads on radio and ask them to call on that number. I will handle the call, each and every call personally. I will go personally get their things parceled and deliver it to them. Without investing in an app, I have tried out that do people really want to order from their homes? Is that something which they are really interested in? I have given them a minimum viable experience. It was minimum because I could really start it, like I could give out my phone number, I could start it by tomorrow itself. It's viable. Even if someone calls me and places an order, I would be able to go ahead and serve that order. It's a minimum viable experience. So because generally what happens in the startup world in entrepreneurship, we kind of lean more towards only apps and products, but that's not it. A lot of times you can also focus on services. You have ideas for services, you have ideas for physical products. So keep in mind that MVE is also a concept which is out there. As you see, like you make your bare bone product, you go from minimum viable product to minimum viable experience, and then you build your ultimate dream product, which is Facebook right now, which is Zoom right now. There is also another concept of minimum awesome product. A lot of founders, they want that not just viable, we also want to make it very awesome. So generally they put in a differentiating factor. For example, when someone is calling me and ordering food through call, placing an order, I I give them a free dessert or I give them a free coupon for something else. So I make their experience and that product a little more awesome than existing ideas. This is something by Eric Ries which I find very, very, very useful. MVP is that version of a new product which allows the team to collect the maximum amount of validated learning about the customers, right? If I float out my number and if I don't get any calls, or I get calls and they say, I want to order from some other city. I don't want food from Mumbai. I want food from Pune. I'm getting some data. I'm getting learning about what do my customers really want. And that is something which should be a very important part of your MVP. If you're not collecting data, excuse me, if you're not collecting data at your MVP, you're doing something wrong. You have to make sure that even if your product is very trimmed down, it should be collecting some data about the customer, which will help you build your next iteration. So this is what MAP is. Instead of just making it functional, you make it functional, reliable, usable, and also has some level of emotional design to it. All right. So what I've done is I pulled out an example of a product which we recently made. And again, this is an example of an app called Net Practice. We are making it for schools who are going digital in this world right now. So this is how our solutioning starts, right? What you see on the left is the first sketch where the app starts from. We draw it on the paper, on paper that, see, this is how my solution is going to look like. I will have announcements on the top. I'll have group chat. I'll have, so this is also called as fat marker drawing, where you don't draw the specifics. You only make the high level design. Okay, this is how my product is going to look like, or this is a functionality which it might have. Then from there, it goes to wireframe, what you see on the right. This is a high level wireframe where, okay, see, welcome Harshit sir. This is the class name, assignments, and you can add a new session, and you have other features also. You can add files, you can manage students, chats, assignments, stuff like that. Then finally, this is what the product is going to look like. So you see in 3 steps, how you start from the bare bone, then you expand it a little bit, then you give it more, you give it more, you give it a bigger shape. This is another app which we worked with before. These are the low level sketches. Then comes the wireframes. Then comes the final product, the final app, how it's supposed to look like. This is a prototyping journey, which I understand it's very useful for each and every participant here, because I came to know that I think a lot of people have an assignment coming up this Friday. where you have to submit your first MVP or your sketch for an MVP. All right. Can anyone tell me what app is this? Or
This
what
is
app was
Groupon. This is Groupon. This is Groupon. I think it's Groupon. Harshit.
Okay, I just to give you a hint, this is an Indian startup, and this is how their first app used to look like. And it's a proper Indian. Groupon is from I think US. It's an Indian startup which is huge right now, which is huge as in huge. There's not a single Indian alive who would not have heard of this app. Sorry. Any guesses on chat or anywhere else?
So Sushil on the chat
Okay.
is saying it's Paytm.
Sushil has written, all right, I did not see the chat message. Sushil has written it's Paytm. Has everyone heard of Paytm here? This is how the first app of Paytm used to look like. It's so bad. But if you see from a design point of view what Paytm is right now, this is how first app used to look like. The founder of Paytm, he was not afraid of making compromises and of making a lot of sacrifices to launch his app, to launch his first product. The design, the functionality, each and everything was at a very minimum level. Why I'm saying this is because all of you need to believe that if Paytm, if Amazon, if Facebook, if Airbnb could do that, you as an entrepreneur, you as your product manager can also do it. One more thing which I really want to touch on is I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs do this mistake of not being able to ship their products out fast enough. So the lean startup methodology, the first basic thing is you don't add any frills until unless they are absolutely required. Don't add features. Don't work on making that big ship of product. Start small. Start very small. As small as you can start with it. When you start with it, you start getting a lot of data from your market. You start to get feedback from your market of how you can improve, what features do you really need. For example, when Paytm started, it thought that it could not launch a product without providing free coupons. But no, that's not the case anymore. I use Paytm to pay my friends, to pay at shops, not necessarily for coupons, but for the ease of use. The second thing is fail often, fail fast. The faster you fail, the faster you realize what is wrong. A lot of entrepreneurs, they stick to their idea, they keep it close to their heart, they keep their product to themselves. They don't take it to the market. Why they don't take it to the market is because a lot of times they're ashamed of the product they built. They think, no. I need to have better design. My product needs to look better than what other apps are doing out there. Don't think about that. Start with what you have. Build an app which collects data from the customers for you, and then go ahead. That has helped lots and lots of startups out there, and I'm telling you, definitely it will help you as well. I think as it's 6:40 already, I would, if you guys have any questions, if you guys have anything which you want to ask about very specifically about an app, about service, about the product, how to build an MVP, how to start trimming your product, I'm happy to answer them.
So guys, Harshit is open for questions. If you have any questions, anything regarding your own ventures, how to go about building your MVP for your own idea, let's get into that interaction. A couple of hands. So Maulik, you can go first, and then Nelly can follow after Maulik. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Malik. Don't call me sir, it's just Harshit.
Okay. Harshit, actually, I want to know about is there any tools we use for prototype and MVP?
Are you talking about an app like prototyping an app?
Yeah.
All right, there are lots. If you have some design knowledge, apps like Adobe XD, where you can just build a small prototype, is there. Google recently launched something called as App Sheet, which allows you to make small apps just using drag and drop. And there are a lot of solutions also coming up which don't ask you to code and just ask you to drag and drop and make your first app.
Can you just write the name
Sure.
on chat box?
Yeah, I will write down one thing which I thought it's very useful is Google App Sheet. So what it does is it allows you to use Google Sheets and Google's SQL database to create a first app. For example, if Inderjeet wants to start taking orders for stitched clothes, right? Instead of building an app, I would suggest go ahead, launch an app with AppSheet, or just launch an app using Google Forms. Float that around, ask people to fill it up, and get to know what do they really want. Okay, I have a very interesting question from Mr. Gautam. Some tools to design MVP for non-app based ideas too. So if you can elaborate more on that, by non-app based, do you mean a service, or do you mean a product as in a physical product?
Yeah, Harshit, this is Gautam here.
Yes, hi, Gautam.
Actually, we are planning a product. It's a physical product, something like similar to a water cans.
Similar to a water can.
Yeah,
Okay.
something similar to that.
Okay.
So for designing a proper MVP, we might need three-dimensional view kind of things. So any sort of tools to design such things, it will be better for us.
All right. So Gautam, firstly, I'll give you a disclaimer that I personally have less experience with designing physical products. What I know of, I'll tell you that, and I would ask you to reach out to more people who are working in that domain and get information, because it's your startup, it's your baby. Should not hear from someone who's not does not have a lot of experience in that domain. So all these ecosystems, for example, Vadvani Foundation and a lot of accelerators, a lot of incubation centers have started leasing out and giving out the 3D printers for free, right?
Okay.
If there is something which you can, is it something which you can 3D print, the prototype, the first prototype?
Yes.
All right. If it is something you could really 3D print, for example, the incubator we have here in Chhattisgarh, 36 INC, I'm a part of that. So it allows us to use the 3D printer, book the 3D printer for 4 hours and use it. So it cost me only 200 rupees to build that first prototype.
Okay.
I can assure you, because of 3D printers now, it has become a lot of very possible to get your first physical thing in hand. Reach out to your teachers, reach out to other people who are working in this domain, because personally I work with more apps and services, and you can maybe get hold of some tools like that. 3D printing is something which has made this very possible now.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes, Miss
Nelly, you can ask the next question.
Yes, good afternoon. I just wanted to find out in terms of coming up with an MVP and issues of prototyping for a service business idea.
Right.
Are you able to share any practical examples of how that pans out?
Yes, definitely. So I think the same question has been posed by Mr. Archimedes also. So the example I gave before of Zomato. Zomato is a startup which allows you to order food. So what Zomato is providing is a marketplace and a service. The service it provides is it delivers food to your doorstep. Is an example like that relevant to your question? So I'll elaborate.
Yes, it
right.
is. But maybe, like, for example, let me give an example of the venture that Rachel and I are working on. We are looking at our consumer are women and vulnerable women and youths, but then our customers, corporates, and we're trying to ride on their corporate social responsibility. That will be sort of the funding model. So, for example, for a business like that, I'm just trying to really be
Go on.
very explicit about what I'm looking for. How do you, for example, what would be an MVP or prototype for a business like that?
All right. So do you ask the corporate companies to spend their CSR with you, or on that specific issue you're talking about, vulnerable women and children?
So the way it works is that corporates and small and medium enterprises have budgets for giving
Right.
back to the community in the form of corporate social responsibility.
Right.
But then the challenge they have is that most of them, because they focus so much on their core business, they don't pay a lot of attention to this. So they are looking for structured ways of delivering corporate social responsibility and more sustainable ways. So we have a model that we feel would be sustainable. And so we have the model, we have the approach, they have the resources.
So Nelly, these the NGOs or the institution where they'll send their money, spend their budget, is it going to be someone else or is it going to be your organization itself? That's a very key differentiator between two ideas.
It's our organization. It's a social enterprise. So the organizations are not NGOs; they are corporates, profit-making companies.
No,
because
So they are
No,
going
no,
to they are going to
Nelly,
provide
let me clarify the question Harshit is asking.
Mhm.
Are you using the CSR funds for your own organization, or are you channelizing those CSR funds to help beneficiaries in other organizations?
Okay, so the way it is, it's like those corporates who outsource the CSR function to us. So
Right, got
we
it.
sort of like the way a consultant would work. So you are paid money to implement an activity. So how we make
All right.
money is that, yes, so basically that's the channel. So they will outsource the service to us so that we can implement. We have the model, they have the resources.
So when you talk about this, I think that's a great idea. That's something which will enhance the way people spend their CSR. And I'm not aware of if someone is doing that here or not. You want to make sure these budget of CSR, they outsource that spending to you so that you can use it in a more sustainable, in a more effective manner. So when you want to prototype this and when you want to try it out, when you want to validate, the first thing which you want to validate is, will you as an organization, will you as a startup be able to build that trust with these organizations that yes, I'm going to spend so much money and Nelly's organization is going to channelize it in the right manner. So your first validated learning should be trust. Second should be that if you get the money, will you be able to actually invest it in the right manner, and will you be able to find the right organizations or find the right NGOs or the right people who are working on with underprivileged people or the vulnerable women. So when you talk about how do you prototype this, how do you create an MVP for this, your first target should always go back to your home city, use your network, try it a very small number. Try only, keep a number, okay, in my first quarter, I will pick up 3 companies who are ready to invest with me, and I will do 3 events for them, or I will do 3 budget allocation for them, and give them a proof of concept. With an MVP, something called as POC, a proof of concept, is always attached, because you do an MVP to tell them, okay, and after you've done that proof of concept with these 3 companies, 3 profit-making companies who's invested with you, now you can blow up and say, okay, now I'm going to reach out to 1,000 companies in my area, or now I'm going to expand my geography. I'm going to expand my region. I'm going to hire more people. So Nelly, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. It's very helpful. Thank you.
All right. Father Archimedes, if you have any questions, I think you wanted to ask something.
I'd like to thank you for mostly the answer is quite sufficient, but let me just clarify. We are also into that service aspect. What we want to do is really to create, for example, like a cooperative, but that is based on manpower, service. Because in the Philippines, our manpower services are always run like a commercial business. So whatever profit is, uh, the profit always goes to the one person, the owner. So we thought of coming up with a cooperative system where the workers can also receive benefits and also support other than just being employed as manpower. So,
All right.
so the main viable product there is, I don't know, it's a service. So we render services like janitorial, domestic helper, and all of that. And instead of just going back to the organization and just give the profit to the owner, we try to redistribute, like social enterprise mindset. We share the profit and gain to everybody who is a member of that cooperative. So that's
Right. So Archimedes, when you talk about a concept like creating cooperatives so that everyone, every member could benefit it from it instead of the majority of share going for the organization itself, right? That's a great
yeah.
idea. That's why even founders have to come up with ESOPs and distribute equity share to their founders. But your idea is much bigger than that. Your idea is much bigger
Yes.
than ESOPs. I get that. When you want to do an MVP of this, the best thing to do is start with a very small cooperative. Archimedes,
Yes. Yes.
where are you from?
Philippines, yeah.
You're from Philippines. All right.
Yes.
Have you heard of Amul or Lijjat? I've typed it also on chat because the pronunciation might be difficult. If you have not, I would really ask you to spend 2 to 3 hours and read on case studies of these two companies which I mentioned. So these are not companies, these are two brands which every, like almost 80% of people in India know about, Amul and Lijjat. Now these two are cooperatives. Amul is a
Yes.
milk cooperative which started in Gujarat, and Lijjat is a fully women-based cooperative which started way back. Now, that time no one used to talk about MVP, no one used to talk about prototyping. Their MVP used to come naturally to people because there was no funds available. Right now, we have big VCs, we have big people who are going to invest money.
Yeah.
They started off only with 10 people, 15 people. Amul started with 10, uh, 10 cattle owners, like so. They call doodhwalas in Hindi. So they started with them who used to sell their milk, sell cows' milk to other organizations. They said, let's stop doing that. We'll create a small cooperative, and then we'll do it together.
Yeah.
Lijjat started with a few women coming together and saying, there's something called as papad, which sells a lot in India. It's a dish. They started, those 5 women, those 10 women started that cooperative only with those 10 women. They were making what, 500 papads in a week. Now Lijjat has become a multi-crore company in India, multi-crore cooperative in India. Amul, again. Now,
Amul, yeah.
Archimedes, my question is, do you want to create multiple cooperatives or you want to give birth to one cooperative? What is your idea?
Well, as of now, since we are in the process of starting up, we'll start with one cooperative. Eventually, we will expand to multi-purpose cooperative that it's not just manpower. They can also we can also start producers co-op, because here in our country we are allowed to change the status of a single single purpose co-op to multi-purpose. So, but we will start with the manpower because that's what is from our market research. That is what is needed now.
Right.
No, sorry. But we will expand later.
Yes, so that's great to know. And do you know what incubation center is, or what an incubation and what an accelerator is?
Oh, yes, yes.
You're part of the startup world, you would definitely know what an incubator, what a startup accelerator is. We ourselves are communicating with Vadhwani, who's a leader in that sector of making sure that startups rise. Right. So now, when you talk about an accelerator and when you talk about an incubator, do they provide funds? They barely provide funds. They will connect you with people who have money who will fund you. So now these incubators, they're not working with only one startup. They're not only working with Archimedes. They're not only working with Nati. They're not working with Inderjit. They're not working with Nelly. They are working with hundreds of startup founders. And what is the purpose? What is the purpose of this incubator? The purpose of the incubator is to provide mentoring, is to provide a culture, to tell them how a startup, what gives birth to a startup, what it takes to build a startup. Now, Archimedes, that is why my last question was, do you want to start one cooperative or do you want to enable hundreds of cooperatives to start by their own?
That's the one. We eventually move into that. We can coach them. Yeah.
So now when you want to give birth to 100 cooperatives, you have to make sure that the first 2 cooperatives you give birth to, you have to make sure that they can run without you. You have to make sure that the founders, the leaders in that cooperative, it should be self-organizing. Okay. If my mentor, let's say Mr. Rajat Agrawal is mentor of my startup, SmileBots. If he has to come and do all of my jobs every day, right? He will kick me out. He will say, I will lead your startup by myself. What he does is he meets me once a month. He meets me once in 3 months and tells me what I may do to increase my startup. Now, Archimedes, this changes the whole purpose of your MVP. Your MVP might be, let me see if I can get 15 people to join a cooperative. Let's say you launch a cooperative for electrician laborers in Philippines, right? You start a cooperative for that. Your MVP before would have been, let's see if we can get 15 electricians. No. Now your definition of MVP would change. Let me see if I can get a group who can create a cooperative of 15 electricians. Your MVP should define your final vision. Final vision of Archimedes is there should be a culture which enables labor organizations or people in vocational this thing all over the world to create their own cooperatives. That is what Vadhwani Foundation, that is what most of the startup incubators and accelerators do. They don't work with one founder. They don't work with one startup. They work with hundreds of startups. You will only say that your MVP is successful if your first cooperative has launched without you being directly involved. You tell them the benefit of what is the meaning of starting a cooperative, how you can, and now your whole perspective changes.
Yes.
That will answer my question.
Yes, very helpful. Thank you, Harshit. Thank you very much.
Definitely, Archimedes, please take some time and read about Amul and Lijjat. I've posted it on chat, the right spellings. Those are one of the most successful cooperatives I know of.
Okay, I will. Thank you very much, Harshit.
You're welcome.
Very helpful. Thank you.
All right. Who's going to ask the next question, guys? Any more questions? And this is a wonderful opportunity for you to discuss your own ventures with Harshit. As he's helping.
If you have a specific idea, anything, and not just me, let's make it interactive. More people can pitch in. All of us, I'm telling you, I'm giving you one tip. If you guys are going to be founders in life, always try to switch on your video. Always try to get as much visibility as possible. I'm not getting paid to be here. I'm only here to get more visibility. Right? I have a lot of free knowledge in my mind. I'm just here like Mr. Gautam is here. He's switched on his video. I know what he's paying attention. Hi, Mr. Mohammed. It's nice to see you. So as a founder, don't be afraid of going out in front of people, speaking out. And that's the whole idea of MVP. You should be ready to fail. If you're not ready to fail, do something else. Join a job or do something else, but don't be a startup founder. If you're not ready to fail, if you're not ready to fall in front of 100 people.
No, absolutely. I think that is a very, very important and wonderful insight, Harshit, that you just mentioned. First of all,
thanks, Rajat.
don't shy away. As startup founders, you can't afford to hide
You can't
yourself.
afford, that's-
You can't afford to be hidden from the limelight. You can't afford to not fail. You definitely have to be
Yes.
out there, get your hands dirty, be visible. Always try to be in front of people, speak with people, get more insights.
Exactly.
All those things definitely add a lot of value to the journey. So taking cognizance of that, I think some of the people have definitely switched on their cameras. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for that.
that's great to see. Hi, Arpit. So one quote which really gets me all the time in marketing is growth is a byproduct of visibility. Growth is a byproduct of visibility. Sure, definitely, Maulik. Maulik has asked me to. I'll do one thing. I'll post my LinkedIn profile here on chat. Whoever wants to connect, please feel free to connect with me.
I think Mohammed wants to ask something. Mohammed, you raise your hand.
Please.
So, Harshit, firstly, I want to thank you for this really engaging and exciting presentation. Okay, in terms of the question I want to ask, from the time I started with this Ignite course, my thinking has drastically changed. Previously, I would think that you have to plan everything really carefully.
Yes.
You have to know all the answers before you attempt to execute. And the Wadhwani Foundation has taught me that it's better to try to get started as soon as you can. Test your concepts with the people who might need it, and get information back and then improve. What I want to ask is, what is the name of these ideas? I've heard of Agile before, but I just want to know the name so I can go looking for more literature that I can read.
So if you want recommendation for more literature, there is an author called Eric Ries. I'm doing one thing. Okay. The first thing you should definitely read, I posted a link here. It's called The Lean Startup.
Lean Startup.
And
I was coming to the same thing by Ash
Yes.
Murray. There's a book also. So I think the guru, as he's considered as a lean methodology, is Ash Murray.
Definitely.
So definitely, Mohammed, you should read about the Lean Startup by Ash Murray. That's a wonderful book, and you follow him as well. So our program also derives a lot of inspiration from the Lean Startup and the Lean methodology. So definitely, thanks for that. And Harshit was also mentioning about Eric Ries.
So
It is-
go for
so-
Lean Startup, Mohammed. That's the first reading I would recommend. The first literature I would recommend. And apart from that, also start reading about agile methodologies, because agile methodology actually encompasses MVP and iteration a lot. And what like Mr. Archimedes asked me, and a lot of people here asked me about, because the startup world generally leans a lot towards apps and software. They forget the experience part, the service part. So read about the lean startup and agile methodology both.
Okay,
Mohammed, I think
and,
you had a follow-up question.
So, okay, no, so thanks guys also for the input as well as Harshit, agile methodology. Okay, I've checked out the lean startup, and I've also read Running Lean by Ash Maurya. I came across him because he one of our videos at the beginning of this course was done by him. Okay, so agile methodology, and anything else you can recommend?
So see, this is one book which I'm reading right now. After you, if you've completed literature from Eric Ries, you should definitely go and switch to Neil. So I think my video might be flipped or mirrored, right? Wait.
No, it's appearing right. It's appearing right.
All right.
Oh.
So this is, yeah, Mohammed, right, you type it. Hooked by Neil. So this person is also kind of called the guru of habit forming techniques. So when you are building your own product, when you're building your own service or your startup, there is something you should focus on, is that you want your customers to come back. Hello. Okay, I'm not sure what that was. Okay, so this is something you should definitely next reach out for. Also, one trick which I use to learn more, read more is subscribing to the Medium. Medium is a I'm sure like a lot of you might already know about this. Medium.com is a multi-blogging, like a lot of blogs. It hosts a lot of blogs. Go there and follow the right people, follow the right startup founders, or follow people who write about startups and this thing. So you'll be always updated and you'll develop a habit of reading. Also, what I get from you, Mr. Mohammed, is what you mentioned at the start is everyone kind of falls in the trap of planning more. Let's plan more, and it leads to a decision paralysis. You're not making decisions. You're just in a hole. You're in a spiral where you think that you're making progress, but your customers are somewhere else. You're not talking to your customers. You're not showing your face because you think that until as I don't have an app like Facebook, I don't have a name or I don't have a brand. Let's talk about the logo. A lot of people get stuck with their logo and with their name for so long that their customers have shifted somewhere else.
Wonderful. So again,
So
that's really,
always
really
avoid that. Get on, fail fast, fail enough. And the most important thing, which the skill which you require there is being shameless. It's okay. I don't fucking care if I fail. Be shameless. Fail 4 times, fail 100 times.
Harshit, thank you so much for your awesome advice. Thank you, Rajat, as well, and to everyone else on this forum who's been contributing things in the chats. I really appreciate it.
You're really welcome. I am very glad I could be of some help.
Gautam, you have a question?
So Harshit was speaking about the spotlight and visibility. So I would like to take this visibility of mine to the core. You were speaking about the incubators, right, and the connects. So can you suggest me some incubators for domain specific, especially in food in India?
For food?
Yeah, for food.
So
food and
Gautam,
packaging.
So Gautam, what stage are you at? Like, what stage are you at right now?
Yeah,
startup?
we are at ideation stage only. We have a concept. I am a food by profession. We have validated the problem, everything. Have to develop the prototype. So anyone could provide proper mentorship as well as to support in the case of developing the product.
Okay. So, sorry, for deployment, or you're saying for connecting you with other startup founders? What is exactly? So, whenever you're choosing an incubator,
exact thing is, an incubator for me is an umbrella of mentors. So they will connect me with right sort of people, especially for in the mentor sake. I'm asking who can travel me for long, who can suggest me with good ideas.
Right. So the question which Gautam has put up is a very, very genuine question, and like it comes up a lot, is how to get to the right mentor, how to get to the right accelerator incubator. So all big companies, a lot of institutions out there like IITs, NITs, IIIT, everyone's running their own incubation center now. And the government in the past, through their program of AIC, I'm only talking about India because that's the only thing I'm aware of. So forgive me for that. I would ask you to reach out to other people. I'm sure Rajat could connect you with other people who can guide you on that. I'm only talking about India, so please, that's a disclaimer. So Gautam, there are a lot of companies, three people, like three organizations I know of. First is Head Start, because Head Start in my own city has been very crucial in providing me with connecting with the right mentors. Another one is Venture Catalyst. Venture Catalyst also, it's a very big network of investors, but it also has a very big list of mentors. Third has been Vadhwani Foundation. The people I've been connected with at Vadhwani Foundation, they've been kind of been able to help me with to find the right mentor. Now, when you're looking for mentorship, when you're looking for mentors, now it's kind of become a very big commodity. You need to network with as many people as you want. Okay, one I forgot about this TI, TI. the tie, head start. So Gautam, what you need to follow a small process of, you need to start attending events at these incubation centers. Where are you from in India?
Actually, the interesting part is I myself from my incubation center.
You run
I
your
am
own
working in
incubation.
an incubation center at Tamil Nadu. But what happens with this thing is many minor startup communities have started emerging, especially in the lockdown scenario. They didn't have the proper expertise like Wadhwani is providing right now. They are mainly not sector focused. They are mainly money focused. So for the benefit of my co-participants, I have raised this question also for me. So to connect with the right sort of people, because we are using LinkedIn, but we are not connecting with the right sort of people is what I believe.
So for you, Gautam, the hotspots would be get connected with, become a part of Head Start, become a part of I, whichever chapter is closest to your city, like whichever chapter is closest to your city, reach out to them. Generally, what I've seen is entrepreneurs and mentors are very helpful. Like all of us, like everyone's too free in their life. I think they love to talk to other people and everyone. So reach out to them, reach out to these organizations. You need, first of all, when you're going for a mentor, if you don't have a if you're not able to build a personal connect with them, don't onboard them as a mentor, because you need to build that trust. If you want more mentors to be available on your own panel at an incubation center, try to find more people who are locally available, right? Like from Tamil Nadu, because then they'll be able to help you the startups who are a part of their community. For example, the first question which I asked in this session is, I think, I don't remember who I asked this, but about which city will you want to prototype this solution in? So the startups which come to your incubation centers, they want to prototype or want to start the solution at their own city, at your city. So having mentors from that geography helps you a lot.
Yeah.
Also, again, I think if you talk to your other professors and if you talk to other people at Vadhvani is one of the most reputable and kind of selfless organizations I've come across.
Yeah.
Thai, Head Start, Venture Catalyst. Venture Catalyst is very money focused, but they also have a very good portfolio of mentors.
Yeah.
But
Great.
you need to spend a lot of energy in connecting with each and everyone. Mentorship is not something which happens. Mentors, you don't get credit to mentors at one call, or it's not a commodity. You need to get credit to them one to one. That's
Right.
somewhere you'll have to spend a lot of your energy on.
Yeah. For speaking about the incubators or startups, yeah, we are just saying in our words, but when it comes to my own startup, it just takes me a lot of sweat. Thanks for your input.
Your startup is for
Really
food. You
great.
said water can something, right? If I'm
Yeah,
not
it's based on food packaging, especially for the beverages.
Okay, food packaging. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. All right,
A
Gautam. So again,
travel-focused
for
food
the
startup.
product part, I think I have less information. I would ask you to find out more about this. That was just a rudimentary suggestion.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Harsh.
Okay. So thank you so much, everybody. I think we'll close the session now. But Harshit, this was really wonderful. And I, on behalf of the entire foundation, would like to express a lot of gratitude that you could join us today and interact with these participants.
Thanks a lot. It's actually as energetic and as fulfilling for me to be a part of this. It's really seeing so many people here to here interested in that topic. That's great.
No, it really helps when somebody who himself is so passionate and who believes in the idea of the lean methodology and MVP and collecting feedback and the build, measure, learn philosophy, and who better can be there to join a session that is focused on building a solution and MVP. So we are really grateful about that, and we look forward to have more continued association with you for several other events that might come up in future. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks a lot. All everyone, welcome for your everyone who's writing. Thank you. You guys are welcome. If you guys have any question, anything like that for MVP prototyping, and even if you have very specific questions, I have posted my LinkedIn profile. Just feel free. Just mention that you are doing this course on Malvani, or even if you don't mention that, that's totally okay. I would be happy to help you out and give you some ideas of how you can proceed with an MVP. That's something I enjoy doing out of my work as well. So definitely do reach out. Don't hesitate.
And guys, I have posted a link to share your feedback about the session on the WhatsApp group. So please check the WhatsApp group. There is a link. You can take 1 minute of your time to share your feedback about the session. Your feedback will definitely help us to know what went right and what could have been better. So please do click on the link on the WhatsApp group and share your feedback about the session. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Harshit, once again. Have a great evening, all
All
of
right,
you.
guys. Bye.